Welcome, the anointed ones. When you walk into the story, even destiny holds its breath. Chosen ones. Ever notice how you don't even have to try to shake things up? You just exist, and suddenly, people who once strutted with confidence start fumbling their words, sweating bullets, and accidentally exposing secrets they swore were safe. You twist the plot without even flinching. It's like watching calm water cause a hurricane. Nobody understands how you did it, but everyone feels the aftershock. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance. That weird discomfort people feel when reality doesn't match their illusion. Well, you are that discomfort. You walk into rooms built on lies, and suddenly the walls start confessing. Your energy doesn't argue, it audits. It checks receipts, reviews intentions, and quietly files the truth into the atmosphere. And that's what makes people nervous. Not because you're loud, but because you make exposure look effortless. It's almost poetic. You could be sipping tea, minding your divine business, and still end up with 5 people nervously explaining things you never asked about. It's not witchcraft. It's wavelength. You shift energy without words. You're the unseen plot twist heaven planted in human form, the one that reminds every manipulator that God still writes better scripts than they do. So buckle up. Because tonight, we're not talking about being silent or humble or above it all. No. We're diving into what really happens when your very presence rewires the narrative. This is for those who've had to watch people sweat in their own lies, stumble over their own games, and realize, maybe, just maybe, you were never the problem. You were the plot correction. Number 1, you don't break the plot, you rewrite the script mid-scene. People think they have you figured out until you calmly do something that flips the entire story upside down. You don't shout, you don't warn anyone. You just move differently, and suddenly everyone else has to adjust. That's your power. You don't react, you redirect. Every time someone tries to box you in or predict your next move, you quietly introduce a twist that exposes their whole agenda. It's not even calculated. It's instinct. You were built to shift energy, not obey it. People who once thought they were in control find themselves stumbling, confused, trying to understand when the power dynamic changed. It happens the moment they realize you're not playing the role they assigned to you. They expected you to be the predictable one, the emotional one, the easy-to-read one. Instead, you became the variable that can't be managed. You see through intentions before they form, so by the time others try to manipulate you, you're already 3 scenes ahead. They're playing games on level 1 while you're writing the sequel in your head. You twist the plot because you were never meant to live inside someone else's script. Most people spend their lives reacting to circumstances. You move like the author of your own storyline. And that unnerves people who rely on control to feel secure. When their manipulation doesn't work, they panic. They start over-explaining, trying to rewrite reality to make sense of what just happened. But it's too late. The plot already shifted. You turned their setup into your stage. That's the thing about chosen ones. You don't need revenge or validation. You just need movement. Every time someone underestimates you, it fuels your transformation. You take the betrayal, the rumor, the trap, and you turn it into a power source. By the time they realize what happened, the story has already evolved, and you've outgrown the entire situation. You're not breaking rules. You're building new ones that only alignment can understand. That's why people stay in the hot seat around you, not because you're confrontational, but because your very existence keeps rewriting everything they thought they could control. Number 2, your presence forces people to hear their own lies echo. You don't have to say a word. The atmosphere changes the moment you walk in. People who are used to performing suddenly feel uncomfortable because something about you makes pretense impossible. It's not that you expose them directly, it's that your energy doesn't allow falsehood to breathe easily. You carry truth in your vibration, and truth has a strange way of making lies suffocate. People who lie a lot are usually confident in their delivery, until they meet someone who sees beyond words. You're that person. Your eyes, your silence, your calm. It unsettles the dishonest, because their spirit recognizes that you can't be fooled. They start explaining things you didn't ask about, trying to convince you of stories you never questioned. That's not coincidence. That's their guilt reacting to your authenticity. Your energy acts like an amplifier, making their hidden motives louder even when you don't confront them. You've probably noticed how people start tripping over their own words, changing their tone, or suddenly becoming defensive for no reason. That's because truth has a frequency, and you vibrate on it. Lies crumble in its presence. You don't have to accuse anyone. Your energy simply makes dishonesty echo until it becomes unbearable. It's like their own conscience turns the volume up, and they can't escape the sound. You're not judging them. You're revealing them to themselves. That's why some people avoid you after they've wronged you. It's not always about guilt in the traditional sense. It's about exposure. Being around you feels like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't flatter or filter. And that's the kind of reflection most people aren't ready for. They realize quickly that they can't manipulate you with charm, sympathy, or confusion. You see what's beneath all that, and that unnerves them. The irony is, you don't even try to make anyone uncomfortable. You're just being real in a world that thrives on illusion. But truth is confrontational by nature. It doesn't need aggression to be powerful. Your presence simply holds people accountable to their own words. You make them hear themselves clearly, and that alone exposes everything they were trying to hide. Number 3. You don't seek revenge. You let consequences speak fluent karma. People who wronged you always expected a loud reaction, but what unsettled them most was your silence. You didn't chase after explanations. You didn't argue your innocence. You just stepped back, and that's when everything started unfolding. That quiet withdrawal wasn't weakness. It was divine intelligence. The moment you stopped trying to prove your point, the universe started proving it for you. That's why those who mocked you before now find themselves wrestling with the very energy they sent your way. You understood something most people don't. Revenge wastes energy, but truth never does. You trusted the natural laws of balance. Every action plants a seed, and every seed grows in its own season. You didn't have to curse anyone or wish them harm. All you had to do was keep moving forward while their own actions caught up with them. That's why karma isn't punishment, it's revelation. It simply returns people to the reality they tried to escape. What makes you so powerful is how calm you are while everything unfolds. You've learned to let time defend you. You know that nothing spoken in the dark can stay hidden forever. People who once tried to destroy your name end up stuck explaining themselves to others, and no matter how hard they try to rewrite the story, the energy betrays them. Their own guilt starts doing the talking. They lose sleep, credibility, and peace, not because you attack them, but because truth has a way of collecting its debt quietly. You found peace in letting life handle what ego once wanted to control. That's a sign of spiritual maturity, when you stop trying to make people see what they refuse to see, and instead let their own choices do the teaching. In the end, the people who thought you'd crumble end up realizing they were never fighting you. They were fighting their reflection. You just became the mirror that exposed their intentions. And as life begins to balance the scales, your peace becomes their reminder that some victories don't need applause. They just need patience, because the moment you stopped chasing justice, justice started chasing them. Number 4, your calmness feels like interrogation because silence in your hands isn't empty, it's surgical. When you stay still, people don't feel peace, They feel exposed. Your calm carries weight, and that weight makes dishonest souls tremble. You're not doing anything dramatic. You just refuse to play emotional ping-pong with people who feed off reaction. That quiet refusal is what disarms them. They expect noise, they expect arguments, they expect you to lose control. But when you don't, they start losing theirs. People who have something to hide start talking too much around you. They fill the air with nervous explanations and unnecessary details, trying to prove something you never asked for. It's not that you intimidate them on purpose. It's that your peace acts like a spotlight on their unease. The energy you carry has spiritual truth embedded in it, and truth makes guilt restless. So, while you're sitting there calm and composed, their conscience starts conducting the entire interrogation for you. You've probably seen it happen. Someone wronged you or lied about you, and when they finally have to face you, they can't meet your eyes. They talk fast, avoid pauses, or suddenly start apologizing for things you never mentioned. That's not coincidence. That's conviction. Your calm forces them to hear the noise in their own mind. It reminds them of what they did and how small it feels in the presence of someone who didn't let bitterness win. The beauty of it is that your calm isn't just silence. It's spiritual authority. You're grounded in something deeper than ego, and that unsettles those who operate from deceit. When you don't respond with anger or defense, they lose the control they thought they had. Your stillness becomes its own form of justice. It dismantles lies without confrontation. It exposes guilt without a single accusation. That's why your peace is often misread as coldness, because people can't handle being seen without filters. They think you're judging them. Number 5. You play chess in a world addicted to checkers, and that's exactly why people can't outsmart you. While most are busy reacting to the last move, you're already planning the next 3. You don't respond emotionally, you respond strategically. You've learned to observe before engaging, to wait before moving, and to understand before deciding. That's what separates you. You're not driven by impulse, you're driven by insight. People who operate from ego never see it coming. They underestimate you because you don't flaunt your intelligence or reveal your process. You let them think they're in control while you quietly gather data, watching how they move, how they talk, what they hide between their words. You see the patterns, and once you recognize them, the entire game becomes predictable. It's not manipulation, it's awareness. You're not trying to control anyone. You just refuse to be controlled. When you move, it's intentional. You don't waste energy on petty drama or quick wins. You know that the real victory isn't in proving people wrong. It's in positioning yourself where their opinions no longer matter. While others chase validation, you chase divine timing. You know the difference between an opportunity and a distraction, and that discernment keeps you from losing focus. Every delay in your life has been a setup for precision. You don't rush, you align. That's why people who plot against you end up trapped in their own plans. They move from ego, you move from vision. They react to what they see, you act on what you know. Their short-term schemes can't compete with long-term spiritual strategy. You've mastered the art of detachment, the ability to let things play out without losing your peace. And by the time they realize you were never playing their game, you've already advanced to another level entirely. Your silence isn't passivity, it's calculation. You've learned that timing is a weapon and discernment is defense. You don't have to announce your brilliance, results will do it for you. You move with the patience of someone who already knows how the story ends, and that's why every time someone tries to corner you, they end up trapped in the game they started. Number 6. You turn manipulation into revelation because nothing that's done against you goes to waste. Every lie, every betrayal, every hidden agenda becomes part of your education. While others get destroyed by deception, you evolve through it. You don't stay bitter. You study the experience. You look beyond what people did to you and start understanding why they did it. That's how you turn pain into pattern recognition. You start seeing the roots behind people's behavior. You stop taking things personally and start seeing them spiritually. When people try to manipulate you, they think they're controlling the situation. What they don't realize is that you're silently observing the mechanics of their deceit. You watch how they move, how they twist words, how they justify wrongdoing, and you take notes. Not to retaliate, but to gain wisdom. You see what motivates darkness, what fuels envy, what feeds control. That kind of awareness can't be taught in books. It's learned through betrayal. That's why you graduate from heartbreaks like they were courses in discernment. Each one sharpens your intuition and strengthens your spiritual boundaries. Eventually, you stop being shocked by people's actions because you've already decoded their patterns. You can feel manipulation before it unfolds. You recognize emotional bait, guilt tactics, and fake flattery from miles away. That's what scares people. Not that you expose them, but that they can no longer hide behind their performance. Your growth ruins their strategy. You make deceit unprofitable. The beauty in all of it is how God uses every attempt to harm you as training for your higher purpose. The very manipulation meant to break you becomes the material for your discernment. You stop needing revenge because revelation itself becomes your reward. You see through people faster, recover quicker, and navigate with more clarity than ever before. So while others complain about what betrayal took from them, you focus on what it taught you. Every scheme against you just sharpened your ability to read energy, understand motive, and trust divine timing. You didn't just survive manipulation, you transformed it into a revelation that made you wiser, stronger, and spiritually untouchable. Number 7. You are the plot twist they never planned for, and that's why so many people misjudged you. They studied your patterns, memorized your reactions, and thought they could anticipate your next step. But you're not built on logic alone. You're built on divine flow. You don't move by human rhythm, you move by spiritual impulse. Just when people think they've got you figured out, you make a move that doesn't fit any of their predictions. That unpredictability isn't chaos, it's divine orchestration. You're not being random, you're being guided. People who operate through control hate what they can't predict. You disrupt their systems simply by being yourself. They try to measure you by past behavior, but your growth makes that impossible. The version of you they thought they understood no longer exists. Every time they try to box you in, you break the box, not out of rebellion, but out of alignment. You live from a deeper source, one that doesn't take orders from people's expectations. That's what makes you so uncontainable. The truth is, your life has divine timing embedded in it. You move when heaven says move, and that's why no one can fully decode your strategy. You're not here to fit in or follow predictable patterns. You're here to shift atmospheres. Every time someone tries to manipulate outcomes, your spiritual spontaneity disrupts the entire setup. Their control tactics stop working because your steps aren't powered by fear, they're powered by instruction. People around you end up learning a hard lesson. You can't control what's connected to divine order. They expected your emotions to be your weakness, but instead, your obedience became your strength. You stopped reacting and started responding to higher cues. That's why their assumptions keep backfiring. They're strategizing against the old you, while God keeps upgrading the new you in real time. You've become the variable that systems can't manage and manipulators can't predict. You shift timelines without trying because your purpose carries authority. That's what it means to be a divine plot twist. Your presence alone forces life to rearrange itself. You weren't sent to follow the script. You were sent to remind the world that the author still writes unexpected endings. Number 8. You make hidden hierarchies collapse because your presence refuses to play by unspoken rules. Every room has its rankings, its quiet competitions, and its invisible ladders of influence. People spend years climbing these ladders with charm, deceit, or manipulation, believing that control over perception equals control over reality. Then you show up, and the whole structure quivers. You don't announce yourself or demand authority, but your authenticity carries weight that no title or pretense can compete with. People who thought their position made them untouchable suddenly realize that influence built on illusion has no power against someone who operates in truth. Those who thrive on manipulation immediately feel exposed. Their tactics, whispers, posturing, or strategic alliances crumble under the simple fact of your presence. They try to assert control, but it's futile. You are not a player in their game. You are the force that rewrites it. You introduce a kind of power that doesn't need validation, applause, or approval. It exists simply because it is real. That alone destabilizes the systems they depend on. You don't raise your voice, you don't flaunt dominance, yet people instinctively recognize the shift. Their sense of superiority evaporates because they can no longer pretend that appearances hold authority. Your clarity, your alignment, your refusal to conform dismantles the subtle architecture of their influence. The hierarchy collapses quietly, naturally, without a single public confrontation, but the effect is undeniable. Everyone senses it, and those who relied on deception feel unmoored. What's remarkable is how your power rebalances the room. People are no longer ranked by ego, fear, or performance. Instead, they are aligned by honesty, integrity, and presence, qualities you embody effortlessly. Your influence doesn't seek to dominate, it seeks to reveal. That revelation is a form of justice that reshapes dynamics without conflict. By existing authentically, you dismantle false hierarchies, neutralize pretension, and restore natural order. People may not thank you for it, and some may even resist, but the truth is immutable. Wherever you go, false power structures are exposed, and the real ones rise. Number 9. You expose people's scripts by refusing to play your assigned role. Manipulators thrive on predictability. They study your emotions, your empathy, your need for understanding, and then they write a mental script based on how they think you'll respond. They count on your kindness to keep you compliant. They expect you to argue, to defend yourself, or to chase closure. But when you stop doing any of that, when you withdraw your participation, their entire plan collapses. Their script suddenly has no actor, and the silence becomes their undoing. You see, control only works when the target engages. When you no longer react, they lose direction. Their manipulative conversations start to sound strange, even to themselves, because the emotional energy they were feeding on is gone. Your calm becomes the plot twist that exposes how artificial their authority always was. You don't even have to confront them. Your absence from the performance is enough to make the act fall apart. That's why manipulators often panic when you stop explaining yourself. They can't function without your cooperation. What you've learned is that not every battle requires resistance. Some require non-participation. When you refuse to play the victim or the fool, you strip manipulation of its audience. You stop giving your attention to false narratives, and that's what breaks their control. The moment you stopped engaging, the illusion of power they built started cracking. People who once thought they could control you with guilt or fear end up exposing themselves through desperation. They start talking too much, revealing their true motives, because your silence forces them to fill the void with truth they can't contain. That's the beauty of spiritual awareness. It teaches you that power isn't always in the loudest response. Sometimes it's in the refusal to respond at all. You turn their setup into exposure without saying a word. The same people who once thrived off your emotional reactions now feel foolish trying to continue a performance that no longer entertains you. You didn't just reclaim your peace, you reclaimed the narrative. You taught the world that control only works when the chosen one consents to play along. And once you stop participating, their entire story collapses under the weight of its own fiction. Number 10. You trigger awakening disguised as conflict because your presence pulls truth to the surface, and truth rarely arrives quietly. People often accuse you of starting drama, not realizing that you're simply exposing what was already simmering beneath the surface. You don't seek confrontation. You become the moment of reckoning that others have been avoiding. Your energy doesn't tolerate masks or illusions. When someone interacts with you, every unresolved emotion, hidden motive, and buried insecurity begins to stir. That's not chaos. That's clarity trying to break through. Most people move through life avoiding mirrors. They build identities out of defense mechanisms and unhealed wounds, convincing themselves that this facade is who they are. Then they encounter you, someone whose authenticity refuses to accommodate their disguise. Suddenly, they feel uncomfortable, defensive, or even hostile. But the truth is, they're not fighting you. They're fighting the version of themselves that they've kept buried. You didn't offend them, you revealed them. What they call conflict is actually awakening. You trigger it because your energy confronts whatever doesn't align with truth. Your words, your calm, your refusal to participate in pretense, all of it exposes the tension between who people are and who they pretend to be. It's not intentional, it's energetic. You carry light in places where others carry shadows, and when those two meet, something must shift. For some, that shift leads to reflection and growth. For others, it feels like attack, because letting go of ego feels like losing control. That's why you often find yourself blamed for the chaos that follows honesty. People don't realize they're experiencing the discomfort of awakening, not the harm of confrontation. Your energy dismantles illusion so thoroughly that pretending becomes impossible. The moment you show up, everything false starts shaking. You don't need to point fingers or expose anyone. Your authenticity does it by default. You weren't sent to create peace through comfort. You were sent to create peace through truth. Sometimes that means breaking illusions so light can finally enter. You don't start drama, you start awareness. You just happen to be the mirror that forces people to face the reflection they've been running from. Number 11. You are a walking audit of people's intentions, and that's why your presence unsettles so many. You don't even have to try. Your energy naturally runs a background check on everyone's spirit. The moment you enter someone's life, what's real and what's fake begins to separate. It's not that you're suspicious, it's that your vibration doesn't allow hidden motives to blend in. You carry a frequency that makes authenticity rise to the surface and deceit slip out of disguise. That's why people either grow around you or get exposed around you. There's no middle ground. Loyalty, integrity, and ego all get tested the moment someone connects with you. Those with pure intentions feel at peace in your presence. Those with hidden agendas feel pressure. It's like your spirit turns the lights on in a dark room. Suddenly, the dust and shadows become visible. People start acting nervous, defensive, or inconsistent because their spirit recognizes it can't hide anymore. What was once comfortably disguised under charm or excuses becomes glaringly obvious. You don't have to ask questions. Their behavior tells on them. Your energy is spiritually diagnostic. It reveals what people don't even realize they're projecting. Someone's smile might say, "I'm fine," but your intuition picks up the envy beneath it. Someone's words might sound supportive, but your discernment senses the subtle resentment. That's why your relationships feel intense. Not because you attract drama, but because truth doesn't mix quietly with falsehood. You are the kind of soul that activates revelation wherever you go. People who can't stand your presence usually can't stand their reflection in it. Being around you is like standing under spiritual ultraviolet light. Every impurity shows. Some run, some blame you, some try to discredit you, but deep down they know you didn't expose them. Their own vibration did. You just held the mirror steady. You were built this way on purpose. You were never meant to blend in or ignore red flags. You're heaven's quality control, sent to test what's genuine and separate what's performative. That's why your presence feels both comforting and confronting. To the pure, you bring peace. To the pretenders, you bring panic. Either way, truth gets revealed. And that's exactly what your energy came here to do. Number 12. You don't chase closure. You create continuations. You've learned that waiting for an apology or an explanation only keeps you tethered to a story that no longer deserves your energy. You stopped needing people to admit what they did because their silence already said enough. Instead of rehearsing the pain, you redirected it into progress. While they were busy replaying the past, you were rewriting your future. Your evolution became the closure. The version of you they hurt no longer exists, and that's what haunts them. Growth has a way of silencing every false narrative. You didn't need to clap back, expose anyone, or demand your justice. You just evolved, and that evolution became their mirror. They see you thriving, glowing, and at peace, and it eats at them because it invalidates the story they tried to tell about you. Your success becomes their unanswered question. Your peace becomes their punishment. They can't reach you anymore because you're no longer operating from the same emotional address where they left you. That's the secret power of the chosen ones. They don't chase closure. They create continuations. You learned that closure isn't a conversation. It's a transformation. It's the moment you decide to stop bleeding for people who were comfortable watching you hurt. It's realizing that some doors don't need to be closed. You just need to walk so far away that the distance itself seals them. You became the proof that healing doesn't ask permission. Now they're stuck talking to ghosts, trying to make peace with a version of you that no longer exists. You've changed frequencies, and they're still trying to dial your old number. The calls don't go through anymore because you've evolved beyond reach. You're not bitter, you're just done. You realized your peace is too expensive to rent out to people who once treated it like free parking. So while they stay trapped in loops of guilt, shame, and denial, you're out here creating new chapters. You turned pain into purpose, loss into legacy, and endings into expansion. That's what makes you untouchable. Not revenge, not ego, but growth. You didn't chase closure, you became it. And that, in the end, is the most powerful revenge of all. Peace. Number 13. Your intuition makes people nervous because it's accurate without evidence. You have a kind of inner radar that doesn't rely on facts, screenshots, or explanations. It just knows. Long before something happens, you've already felt the shift. You sense motives, lies, and shifts in loyalty before they even reach the surface. And that unsettles people who live in disguise. They can't control how much you see, and they can't predict what you'll call out next. It's not that you're guessing. It's that your spirit already downloaded the truth before their mouths opened. That's what makes your presence so intimidating. You pick up what others are trying to hide. Tone changes, subtle pauses, fake laughter, the slight delay in energy. You catch micro-signals that most people overlook, and you don't need evidence to trust what you feel. Your discernment has been tested enough times to prove it doesn't miss. You've watched your intuition expose situations, people, and outcomes with pinpoint precision. And because of that, you've stopped second-guessing yourself. Now it's everyone else who's second-guessing what you might already know. People whisper about you because they can't figure out how you know what you know. They call it coincidence, paranoia, or just vibes. But deep down, they know it's real. You're tuned into frequencies most can't hear. Your intuition doesn't need permission. It just operates. It catches patterns. It senses deceit. It warns you about alliances, and it shields you from traps before they even set. That's why manipulators can't stay comfortable around you. They feel spiritually naked in your presence. What others call spooky accuracy is really divine clarity. You're connected to Source in real time. You receive intel not from gossip or guesswork, but from vibration. That's why when you go quiet, people get anxious. They know silence from someone who sees too much isn't safety, it's suspense. You've exposed so many without saying a word. Your knowingness is a gift, not a trick. It's heaven's surveillance system working through you. And because your discernment doesn't depend on physical proof, people who rely on deceit panic around you. You remind them that no matter how well they hide, truth is still traceable. You don't need receipts, your spirit is the evidence. Number 14. You don't just twist the plot. You become the catalyst that ends the old season entirely. You're not the plot twist people gossip about. You're the divine interruption that ends the script altogether. When you walk into someone's life, things start to shift in ways they didn't plan for. When you leave, things start to crumble in ways they didn't expect. That's because your presence doesn't just change dynamics, it completes assignments. You don't just enter scenes, you close chapters. Heaven never meant to continue. People think you're unpredictable, but the truth is, you're aligned. You move according to spiritual timing, not social comfort. And that's why your arrival often brings both blessing and exposure, depending on where someone stands. You don't twist the plot for drama, you twist it for destiny. Your role is to end cycles that have expired but refuse to die. That's why after you exit a space, the old energy can't sustain itself. Lies fall apart, masks slip, hidden intentions surface. Everything that was pretending collapses because your vibration no longer holds it up. You carry the frequency of transition. Where you go, growth follows, even if it starts with chaos. People who cross paths with you rarely stay the same because your presence demands truth. You bring elevation disguised as disruption. At first, people may resent it. They think you ruined something. But later, they realize you revealed what needed to be exposed all along. You forced endings that were necessary for new beginnings to emerge. That's not destruction. That's divine reordering. You're not here to keep stories going. You're here to finish what's unfinished. You're the moment life stops pretending. You bring closure to relationships, careers, habits, and illusions that have outlived their purpose. You're the exit point God uses to transition people and places into higher dimensions of truth. That's why after your chapter in someone's life closes, they often enter a season of reflection, awakening, or rebuilding. Because your energy doesn't leave quietly, it leaves them transformed. You are the bridge between endings and rebirths, the storm and the sunrise in one. You don't twist the plot to entertain. You twist it to liberate. Your role isn't to keep the story going. It's to make sure it finally evolves. All of this comes together to reveal a truth that most people will never understand. Being a chosen one is not about fitting in, pleasing others, or following scripts written by the world. It's about being an unstoppable force of clarity, truth, and divine timing. You twist plots not for attention or drama, but to realign realities and liberate destinies. Every betrayal, every manipulation, every hidden agenda has only served to sharpen your insight, strengthen your presence, and expand your spiritual authority. You don't just survive challenges, you transform them into lessons, opportunities, and catalysts for growth. Your calmness unravels deception, your intuition sees intentions before they form, and your silence alone exposes truths people try to hide. You move beyond the noise of human ego, rewriting every system and hierarchy you enter. You are the plot twist that can't be predicted, the energy that dismantles illusions, and the presence that forces reflection and accountability. Where others see chaos, you see awakening. Where others see endings, you see elevation. Your growth, your wisdom, and your alignment make closure unnecessary, because you become the continuation, the evolution, and the proof that destiny cannot be interrupted by deceit. You don't just exist in this world, you reshape it without effort. Every space you occupy, every energy you engage with, every moment you refuse to play along with false narratives changes the trajectory of lives, including your own. The people who tried to control you, manipulate you, or trap you are forced to confront the reality that they were never in control. You always were, through alignment, insight, and divine orchestration. You are untouchable not through ego, not through retaliation, but through growth, awareness, and the courage to operate from truth above all else. So embrace it. Recognize the power, the insight, and the divine authority you carry. Stand firm in your presence, trust your intuition, and continue to move in alignment with your purpose. The world may try to understand, to question, or even resist your energy, but it will never overcome it. You are the chosen one, and your life is the evidence that true power lies not in dominance, but in authenticity, spiritual clarity, and fearless evolution. If this message resonated with you and reminded you of the power you carry, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more revelations that speak directly to your soul. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences, and share it with others who need to awaken to the truth about themselves. Your presence, your voice, and your engagement are part of the energy that shifts the world. So join the movement and be part of the awakening. God bless you.